All right. So this is the second one that you sent me. We got 2Fe plus 3Cl2 arrow, 2FeCl3. And then it gives us our nice little triangle H is equal to negative 799 kilojoules. All right. And then it tells us we're going to have 126 kilojoules. All right. That's what's given. So it's asking us to find, when we have 126 kilojoules, how many grams of iron are we going to have? All right, it's asking for grams of iron, not grams of chlorine, not grams of iron chloride, just grams of iron. So iron is the only one that we're going to be paying attention to. Now, if you remember from the last video, we always start with what's given. And in this case, 126 is what's given to us, 126 kilojoules. The last one we were given grams, but in this one we're given kilojoules. So it's the same thing as the last one, we're just solving for something different. All right? Now, in order to make these kilojoules cancel out, just like the last one, we're going to take this number right here, and if you remember, last time we put that number on the top. But if we put 799 on the top, these kilojoules wouldn't cancel out, right? Because they're both on the top. So in order to make them cancel out, we're going to put it on the bottom. All right? 799 kilojoules on the bottom. That way, our kilojoules cancel out, and it's nice and pretty. Now, a note, for these questions, you don't really need to worry about the negative, because we're solving for grams, and grams are never, ever going to be negative. It is important that you add the negative whenever we're solving for kilojoules, but since we're solving for grams, we don't really need to worry about it, so I'm just going to erase it. All right. So now that we figured out our kilojoules go on the bottom, what goes on the top? Well, just like last time, when we have the kilojoules on the top, we put the moles of, it was carbon monoxide in the last video, on the bottom, right? So in this case, we're going to take the moles of iron, which is what we're solving for, remember, and we're going to put that on the top. So we look here, we see it's got this nice 2 in front of it. So that's going to be 2 moles of iron are equal to 799. And that's how that works out. All right? All right. Now remember, this is a 2 because this is a 2, right? If there was a 1 here or a 3 here, this would be a 1 or a 3 moles. But we look at our equation, we see that there's a 2, so it has to be 2 moles of iron. All right? If it asked us to solve for grams of chlorine and not grams of iron, we would put a 3 here, right? Because there's a 3 right here, so it would be 3 moles of chlorine. But it asks for iron, so we do the 2, just like the equation says. All right? The next step is we're going to want to cancel out these moles. And just like last time, we're going to multiply it. This time, we're going to put the moles on the bottom, right? Because we want these moles to cancel out. So we're going to put 1 mole of iron is equal to how many grams? Because grams is what we're trying to get to, right? We want everything else to cancel out. So we got our kilojoules to cancel out by doing this one. Now we got our moles to cancel out by doing this one right here. And all this we're left with is grams, which is what we want. We want to find grams. All right? So just like last time, in order to find the grams, all you do is look at the periodic table. So I'm going to go back to my periodic table. I'm going to pull it up. And I see right under Fe, there's a number. And that number says 55.8, which means that for every 1 mole of iron, there's going to be 55.8 grams. All right? So we look, we see our kilojoules have canceled out, our iron, our moles have canceled out, and all that's left is grams, which is what we want. We're solving for grams. So the only step that's left is to multiply it all out. So I'm going to go to my calculator. I'm going to do 126 times 2 times 55.8 divided by 799. All right? Now make sure you put this in your calculator the right way, otherwise you can get the wrong answer. It's going to be something like this. 126 times 2 times 55.8, all of that divided by 799 times 1. All right, I'm going to plug that in real quick and see what we get. 126 times 2 times 55.8. All right. Divided by 799, and we can forget the times 1 because that's still going to be 799. And the answer you're going to get is something like 17.6 grams. All right, and then that's your final answer. That's all you have to do. Now, I did the first two, and the second two problems you sent me are going to be exactly like these first two, the exact same way. All right, you just do these same exact steps. Just pay attention to how many grams are per mole. For example, there's going to be one with ethanol, right? Ethanol is that big, scary compound, C2H5OH, right? So all we have to do to find out the number of grams per mole is we look at our periodic table, all right? And we see we have 2 carbons, and then we see the number under carbon is 12.011. So we got 2 times 12.011 plus 5 hydrogens. Hydrogen's number is 1.008 plus 1 oxygen. Oxygen's number is 15.999 plus 1 more hydrogen, 1.008. And that's going to equal something like 46 grams. All right. Something like 46. I didn't calculate it out. I just looked at my notes to see what it was. It's going to be something like 46 grams. So just be careful when you're calculating how many grams are in 1 mole. All right. Now, disclosure warning. Stoichiometry is like a big chemistry thing. It's probably the main topic you learn in General Chemistry 1. So you're probably going to struggle with this a bit. I'm hoping we can go over it more in depth on Friday, because right now I'm just teaching you how to do it and not really teaching you how it works. But this is a really big concept that we need to understand, and it's totally okay if you don't get it, because it's a little tricky to get the hang of, and it's a big concept. So right now I just want to see if this will work to get you through the homework, and then on Friday we can talk more about stoichiometry and how it works and how to do stuff like this. But I think this should be okay for now. So that's how you do the first 2 problems, and then the next video is going to show you how to do that tricky one from the calorimeter homework or whatever.